Two.
Maybe. All right, everyone. MTL Sports Podcast here. Episode 101. We're just talking about our little pre-bets that we're making for this Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Fortunately, Dallas answered our prayers and got us to Game 5, which is tonight. You guys, we'll be watching this on Tuesday, so hopefully, maybe not, this goes to Game 6. We'll see pretty soon. But before we talk about the finals, we got some off-season reviews or season reviews, off-season previews to continue to go over. We got the Raptors, we got the Cavs, we got the Pelicans, and we get the Magic. All right, so we'll go through that, and then we might recap some other things. So, all that being said, guys, stay tuned. We're back. Let's get into this off-season previews, season reviews. Quick programming note: 2 episodes this week. After beginning next week, we'll be on break/hiatus for 2 weeks. So probably won't hear from us, at least in terms of a new episode, for 2 weeks. Probably the week after 4th of July, we'll start resume filming again and recording. But until then, we'll have some videos pumping out. I'm working on a 100-episode collab, just all our funny moments, different things that we've said, hot takes, all that good stuff. So that'll be coming out in probably sometime this week, and we'll fill in the gaps with some content. So don't worry about that. Let's move on to the off-season previews, though. Let's start with let's see who's up, because we did the Lakers was the last team we did, right? Believe so. So after the Lakers, we got the Magic. Now the Magic, probably the surprise team, right, Lawrence? We knew they were good. We didn't know they would be 5th seed in the East good. So shout out to them for doing good in their rebuild, from the Aaron Gordon days, where I think that was the last time they made the playoffs. So they're 5th seed, lost to the Cavs in 7 games. And then this offseason, they got about $33 and $44 million in cap. They don't have to pay Paulo yet because it's just his sophomore season, so he still has 2 more years on his rookie deal. So they have time to spend some money, but they have extensions, as you can read, for a couple of guys that they may or may not pay. And then they still have some draft picks. They got pick 18 this year and pick 47. So, all that being said, Lawrence, how would you grade the Magic's regular season, and what do they need to do to improve this team so they can be more competitive next season?
More competitive? I think they just need another. I think they just need another piece. I think they need another offensive piece. I don't think we've ever said that they had a problem playing defense. I don't think that was their issue, especially at home. I think this year was really good for them to, I guess, kind of build a little bit more confidence and build on what they had going last year. I think the main thing for this team is next year, the biggest thing is going to have to be learning.
Unplug the mic.
Did I do it? Oh, yeah. So as I was saying, I think if they can learn how to win on the road a little bit better, they'll see a little bit of change in pace of their team and I guess the high level they play at. And then the next thing, like I said, I think they just need another offensive piece. They need another offensive go-to weapon besides Paulo. Yeah, he's pretty good. He does struggle at times in certain games, especially on the road, less so at home. But I mean, outside of Paulo, who they always ask Wagner to score a lot of points. I don't want Wagner being my number 2 if I'm trying to make a deep playoff run. I have no problem with Wagner being a piece in the puzzle. when trying to make a run. It just doesn't seem like a long-term fit strategy. Do you want to win? And which I think that's exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, you definitely you can't win at the high levels if you have Franz Wagner as your second best player. So you're definitely right. They're gonna need a co-star to fit alongside young Paulo. Who that co-star is gonna be, we just gotta see, right? This free agency pool isn't the best by any standards. There's a couple of guys at the top, Klay Thompson, PG, I guess James Harden technically, Pascal technically, OG technically, but a lot of those guys are going to resign. At least that's what we think. So they're going to hope that one of these guys, gets unlucky, doesn't get the contract that they want, and maybe the Magic can offer them the money and the years that would fit their what they want. So maybe look at Paul George. Maybe he doesn't get enough years for the Clippers, and hey, you jump ship and go to the Magic. Or Klay Thompson, is already rumblings. Apparently he unfollowed the Warriors, and he got rid of his fourth championship post on IG. So there's already the seeds being laid for some of these guys to maybe make a move. Potentially to Orlando. I think Klay recently followed Apollo or something like that. So who knows? Maybe he's just sending mixed signals, trying to, make the Warriors a little nervous. But definitely, I think Klay Thompson in Orlando could help. Will it be the old Klay Thompson where he was defending at a high level and giving you 22, 23 a night? Maybe. But I think chances are probably not. But he'd definitely be a good addition.
See, but for that team, I don't think you don't care about the defensive aspect of Klay Thompson. You really just want it for the offense because their defense isn't the problem; it's their offense.
Yeah, they were in offensive statistics. They were near the bottom, and I think most of them. So definitely, any offense is going to be beneficial for them. So Paul George or Klay Thompson, they definitely got to go full force at and try to get one of those guys because if they can get another 20-point score with Paulo, he'll definitely get better. Probably will average around 25, 27 next year. Getting better. He'll definitely just take over and it'll be his team by next year. So yeah, it's only up from here, Magic and Magic fans. You definitely suffered long enough, and now it's time to be one of the top contenders in the East for sure. Moving on though, let's see who we have next. We have the Raptors. The Raptors, they're still, how do I say this? Not in purgatory, but they're still, I guess, in the realms of they could make a move and become better than decent or like better than mediocre, or they could continue to sell some of their pieces. So they're kind of in a weird spot. Their president of basketball operations, Ujiri, doesn't like to be bad, so they're kind of in a holding pattern. I don't know which way they're leaning towards, based off of just the moves they made. So we'll have to see about that. But Lawrence, what do you think? Which way should they lean? Should they lean towards rebuild, or should they lean towards, hey, let's go trade for a star? Because right now they really don't have any stars.
Since they're in the East, I think it's very apparent that you go for a star. And why I think that is like you can make moves in the East without having to rebuild. I think in the West it's a completely different story. In the West, it's kind of like you have to rebuild. You literally have to make sure the team is cohesive from top to bottom in order to put something together and go through that gauntlet of the playoffs. But if you're the East, all you have to do is get lucky in the playoffs, miss a few teams that are better.
Yeah.
Hope people get hurt. And honestly, once you get one star, the other stars will come because you have a star. And I think they have really good pieces on the team, aka like a Scotty Barnes. Does he deserve like a max rookie extension? Um, I mean, I'd like to see him get it, but you know, does he deserve that kind of contract? It's kind of questionable. I would say kind of on the leaning more on the side of no, because there are some holes in the game. Obviously, because he's not like top tier. He hasn't fully moved himself into that top echelon of players.
Yeah.
But honestly, the team's not horrible. It's just not good. But but if you can just add a few players to the team with a few veterans, like one veteran per se, like you add a Harrison Barnes, it'll just do both sides of the ball and get you some points every game. Maybe come off the bench. That's a good step in the direction. But honestly, it's only a step in the direction. We need to take a few leaps here, not a few steps. We need leaps. And the only way you're going to take a leap is to get someone who's like a star. And if you're going to go star searching, make sure you don't find one who is a little past their prime, or find one who is just good on bad teams. I think that's something I'll point out there. Because Brad O'Beal might be being pushed out the door in Phoenix. If you're the Raptors, don't even bother with that one. He's good on bad teams. There's a trend. Good on bad teams.
Yeah, I agree with you. They need if they're going to make a move, it has to be for the right guy, right? They can't just go grab a guy who can get buckets on a bad team. I mean, that's a lot of NBA players, if they were given that leeway, could do the same. So it has to be the right fit. My opinion, Scotty Barnes, like you said, he probably, want to see him get that rookie max. He just hasn't had like a, oh wow, like this is Scotty Barnes moment, I feel like Mikal Bridges kind of had that when he got traded to Brooklyn, and you're like, wow, Mikal Bridges can score 25 a game. Like, okay, Brooklyn's mediocre, but they're not bad. So that's probably like a type of direction that you will want to see from a Scotty Barnes. A guy that can get you 25 on like a decent team. Because anyone, like I just said earlier, anyone can probably get you 25 on a really bad team if they're given the leeway. So I think it's good to pair him with somebody else. Maybe that's Quickly. Quickly's up for a contract. Quickly prove he can start. So I'm assuming he's going to be the starter moving forward if they can come to some terms of an agreement, which I think they will. Bruce Brown, what they're going to do with him? If they're serious about contending, they keep him. If they're more on the side of, hey, let's do like a soft rebuild, soft retool. Let's use this contract to maybe get some draft picks, or maybe even just get someone slightly better. Bruce Brown's basically a Swiss Army knife. He can do just about he can do anything. So he's really a glue guy, and on a mediocre team, he's kind of wasting his talents almost. So maybe they can find a spot for him. And Gary Trent Jr., what they gonna do with him? I think this previous season, after some of the trades, he kind of got relegated to just playing off the bench. At times, when Pascal and OG was on the team, he would start and shoot lights out. Hit 3, 4, 5 threes. Now that that whole core is kind of broken up, and we're left with Scotty Barnes. He really just hasn't played as much. So maybe they move off of him. Maybe don't look for him to be re-signed, but I think the Raptors could really use a guy like a Mikal Bridges to pair with Scotty Barnes, someone who's still young but also been in the NBA, more than just a rookie contract. Just the free agency pool just isn't the best, and in terms of Toronto pulling free agents, they really don't. So they probably gonna have to make some trades. And your jury is known to pull off some good trades. Pulled off the Kawhi trade. He pulled off the OG and the Pascal trades, and I don't think they got gypped. I think they pretty much. I mean, as even as it could get, I want to say. So, he's a good president of basketball operations. I feel like, whatever he decides to do will help the team more than it'll hurt. They got last year's first round pick, Grady Dick, Kelly Olynyk, Jakob Poeltl, good starting center. So they have pieces, like you said, Lawrence, but they got to get that second guy.
Agreed.
Moving on, y'all. Let's see who we got next. We got the Cavs. Cavs are picking with the pick 20. Now the Cavs, they're in the whirlwind. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, questions if he's going to resign. Yeah, Darius Garland. Rumors are he's going to ask out if Mitchell resigns. And then you got Jared Allen, who the locker room's kind of turned against because he didn't really try to play after he got hurt. After, I think it was, the second game he got hit in the ribs or whatever and, refused to come back. Refused to, try to play with the injury. Even Evan Mobley, who, at times looked like he's kind of offensively limited. We always knew he could be a decent defender, good defender, but in terms of offense, it seems like at times it hasn't really clicked with him. So they got a bunch of questions. So Lawrence, I'll hand it off to you. What would you grade their season? They beat the Magic in the first round. How would you grade their season? And number two, how should they move forward? Should they, trade Mitchell, trade Garland, both? What is their next move?
So for this team, I think this is a team you blow up. And I stand true to that. I feel like this team is one of those teams where if people find home elsewhere, they're going to enjoy themselves a little bit better. And if I am Cleveland, if Donovan Mitchell truly wants to stay, then you keep him. But if he truly, you can tell that he wanted out and he's kind of made it known he wants out, then you move on for what you can get. Hopefully he does like a sign and trade, and you do good by him, and he'll do good by you by doing the sign and trade. Because I feel like Darius Garland would want to stay, probably a little bit more than Donovan Mitchell. And then as for Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, honestly, I would let Allen walk, and I'd keep Mobley. And I could say that for a couple other guys on the team because they're constantly injured. You don't see them when it matters. So there's just a lot of people on this team that I would just let walk. If I had to rate their whole season, I'd probably get it. I don't know, you kind of did the same thing you did last year, except you beat up a team who had zero knowledge of the postseason. None of those players on that team knew anything about postseason in terms of the Magic. And even so, it still took you a while to get over that hump that was the Magic.
Yeah,
who with no experience. So in that instance, I'll probably give them a C plus, B minus. Kind of the same thing. I mean, I can't really fail you. I can't really give you a passing, flying color score. But this is a team that I would just throw a piece of dynamite in there, see what I get for pieces, and retool because I'm in the East. Let's face it, I'm in the East, and retool with what I can get. I feel like this team can get pieces around the league, and get right back into the running, and right back where they were fairly easily. And that's just me. I think that Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, I think in my opinion, I think it's very apparent that's not a good combo. You pick one or the other. If the locker room is moving against Allen, you stick with Mobley. Same thing with Mitchell. I don't know how much you got of me there, but I knew I did just DC a little bit right there. But like I said, Jared Allen, Mobley, I don't think it worked. I think it's very apparent it doesn't work. You think you have pieces I mean, you can let Allen walk if the room is moving against him. You can let him walk. Or if you think you can get more from Mobley, you let him move and you pivot. You find another piece. With the Garland Mitchell, like I said, you can have one without the other, but just keep the one who wants to be there more.
Yeah, they got a lot of decisions to make, especially with the two little groupings you just talked about. Grades, I'll give them a B, solid B. You did what you're supposed to do, make the playoffs, made the 4 seed. I know you had injuries throughout the season, so you did enough to make the 4 seed in a little weaker of the Eastern Conference. You beat the Magic, albeit in 7 games. Probably should have beat them probably in 5 or 6, even though the Magic are really good defensively. Offensively, they should have never been able to, keep up with you. So, with that being said, I'll just give you a B. A B. Now, in terms of your off-season plans, Cavs, yeah, I mean, the guards, you got to break them up. 2 small guards just don't work in today's NBA. I think that's part of their problem was, when one guy was out, you would see the other guy flourish. If Garland was out, Donovan Mitchell went ham. If Mitchell was out, Garland would go ham. And then you'd be like, oh, Garland's back to all-star form. Like, this man's dropping like 20 and 10 again. But when they play together, they both healthy. It's like they both suffer. Like, okay, maybe Donovan gets you 25. But then on the other point, Garland's giving you like 15 and 6. It's like it's not conducive to winning basketball. It's like good enough to win 4 seed in the East, good, but the Cavs are built pretty well. Honestly, they should probably be top 2 or 3 if you want to be honest. But some of these groupings just don't make sense. So that's the first one. They got to go with whoever wants to be there more. Like you said, Lawrence has to be the guy that stays. The other guy, he's just gonna have to hit the dusty road, hit the dusty trail. The Cavs will do right by you wherever you want to go. They'll try to accommodate you, and then move from there. Same thing with the Twin Towers. This is like the 2nd or 3rd year of this experiment. It doesn't work. They're not Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins. That experiment worked to a degree. This one just doesn't work. Both guys are offensively limited. They, jam the paint. Defensively, I guess it's okay. But when other teams go small, it's like, okay, Mobley can probably switch 1 through 5. Can you say the same thing about Jared Allen? No, not really. He's just a rim protector. He's going to give you 1 or 2 blocks a game. He's going to grab 10 to 12 rebounds. But when he gets switched on the guard, he kind of just gets danced on. So not ideal. And then, like I said earlier, he just lost the locker room. We're not trying to play. So I don't think his teammates feel the same way about him. So he definitely has to go. I think even though the reports are that the Cavs are hesitant to get rid of him, I think you just gotta do it. Maybe do it on draft night, so you can draft his replacement. Maybe use your pick. They're picking 20, and then use whatever pick you get from trading for Allen and move up and maybe get you a Edie or a Clinnigan, someone who can stretch the floor. More so for Mobley, so Mobley could probably move to the 5. He probably needs to pack on some more pounds to move to the 5, but at least you have a team that can, they're more stretched out, the paint's not jammed, and then whatever guard you decide to keep can easily drive to the paint and dish out, get some open threes. So that's probably the direction that I see them going. Now, in terms of Okoro, 2 years ago, I was kind of down on him. I was like, why is Okoro on this team still? This past season, I'm like, okay, he's definitely improved. He's definitely looking like the lottery pick that we expected him to be, when he was drafted a couple years ago. So I think for the right money, you keep him, Lawrence, but if not, then just draft his replacement as well. Because you don't want to get hamstrung just giving guys contracts because you don't want to lose them, So Cavs got some work. Out of all the teams we're going to talk about tonight, they probably get the most work to do.
Yeah. of the teams we were talking about, yes, I would agree that Cavs, I think, have the most work, just because the way the team is now and how it's kind of proven that it doesn't work. And I think that's just the biggest thing is it's one thing if you're one of the other teams where it hasn't proven that what you have in place doesn't work. This one is just proof in the pudding. It doesn't work.
Yeah, man, it's just not working. We got well over 2 years at least of footage and film to prove that it doesn't work. So time to move on, which we will as well. We got the Pelicans, our last team. Pelicans, more injuries kind of derailed their season. They did slip into the A seed in the play. In the play-in, beaten. They lost to the Lakers, but beat the Kings to get the A spot. Got swept by the Thunder. But I'm pretty sure BI was out for most of that series. I'm pretty sure. So, with BI being hurt all the time, with Zion being hurt all the time, it's kind of the same situation. But in this case, it's just one of those two needs to go, not also another group of players needs to go. So with that being said, Lawrence, what do you grade their season? And, who do you think they should move on from? Should they move on from Zion or should they move on from BI? Who needs to go?
Honestly, first things first, I would move away from Brandon Ingram. And hope that Zion can come. The only reason I say you got to move off BI is Zion was that rookie a few years ago who you've invested a lot in, and you're hoping it pays off. And I don't want to say that it's proven that it can't pay off yet, but if you look at this postseason so far, yes, I know Zion got hurt, but Brandon Ingram was also hurt in the playoffs. But who had more impact in the playoffs? It was Zion.
Yeah.
By far, had a very killer impact in the one game he played. By far the best killer impact. Now, other players you need to move on, move forward. I don't know, like Jonas Valanciunas, I feel like it's hard to keep him on this team because I feel like I don't know what it is about him, but I feel like a lot of good teams should want him because he knows what he needs to do really well.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Jonas Valanciunas just seems like a dude who should be on good teams. That's just the way he plays. You would think good teams would want him. I guess bad teams just overpay for him. And with that being the case, though, like I said, you move off Brandon Ingram because you have to hope that Zion still pays off for what you invested in. Because, I mean, we've kind of proven that BI hasn't really won everywhere he's gone so far. But in this moment in time, I can't even be pointing the whole finger at Brandon Ingram right now because CJ McCollum didn't show up in the playoffs either.
Yeah.
And honestly, he was actually a bigger hindrance in the playoffs because he just kept taking shots and they weren't pretty shots. They were just bad. So if I'm the Pelicans, I don't think you need to blow anything up, but I think you do need to move off someone to make some more money to try to push the envelope or push the envelope for the team. Honestly, I just think they need a really good point guard. I think they just need a rock star point guard. Problem is, there's not a whole lot of rock star point guards just up available. Anyone can have them. They just don't exist. The good teams have their rock star point guards, and they don't give up their rock star point guards. But if someone could just feed Zion, and then keep those perimeter players who shoot beautiful threes happy with open shots, I think you got a winning recipe. I just think they lack that point guard.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. CJ's not really a point guard. I think of him more as like a 2/combo guard who can, play the point if needed, and he's been needed to the past 2 seasons, I guess, since he's been there. I forget how long he's been in New Orleans, but that's kind of the role he's been playing. So They need to upgrade there. Like you said, there's not too much out there. Maybe they can go snatch a Tyus Jones. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. But if you do that, like you said, you're going to get rid of Valanciunas. So you can kind of free up that money to do that. So we'll see, how that looks. But I'm gonna grade their season. I think they're like a B minus. You barely slipped into the playoffs. I feel like if you make the playoffs, you deserve at least a C plus B minus. So that's what we're going with. For me, I think you keep Zion just for superstar potential. Like when Zion plays, he makes it's very apparent he makes a difference in the game. When Bi plays, you're like, yeah, Bi could be like a really good player. Like he honestly could be the next Kevin Durant, but he just doesn't take the moment like over like a Kevin Durant did when he was young. You see all the similarities, but he just doesn't like ooze like superstar power. Like he doesn't ooze like wow, like you're scared to play against this guy, you know? So I think you move on. He has one more year left. Try to find a trade partner this offseason so you can use that expiring deal. Maybe go get you either draft capital, maybe, to maybe send Bi to like I don't know the Magic. Like the Magic have cap space. He just slide in right to the cap space, so that way you don't take any money back. You can free up money on your end to go get your guy like a Tyus Jones, and then maybe you keep Valanciunas because you still need a center. Valanciunas can still play center for you guys because look when they played him starter minutes during the Thunder series, he was giving work to Chet. Like the Thunder couldn't guard him. So I think that's pretty valuable to have in the West when you got Jokic, you got Anthony Davis, you got Nurkic on the Suns. You got bigs in the West. You're gonna need a big if you want to compete. Zion is just too short to be guarding these bigs. He got all the muscle, he just ain't got the size in terms of height to really guard the bigs. So Valanciunas, they definitely need to keep him if they can, but they gotta move off of Bi, bro. It's just the experiment in New Orleans just hasn't worked. And like the rest of his fellow Lakers that he got traded with, they're all left at this point. It's time for him to leave too. Team like the Orlando makes a lot of sense. Maybe Philly trades for him. I feel like just new scenery will maybe bring out the best in Bi. That's all. Sometimes that's all it takes, right? You just gotta go to a new team, change the scenery, and you become a totally different player. Bi is the type of player who I easily can see, Lawrence. He can easily be a 25 per game scorer. He just, for whatever reason, he just hasn't done that the past couple years,
I've been saying it since day one. I never found the exact hype behind him. And then I was questioning his, I wouldn't say mental fortitude, but I was questioning him in the beginning series of the playoffs when he wasn't closing out the games. And I'm just sitting over here like, if he was a real team guy, which I think he is, he should be on that finishing unit with that team. But he never was.
He's 6'8", 190.
Yeah, he's cool, tall. He's got everything you want. It's just, maybe it's the work ethic, maybe it's the hustle, maybe he hasn't found like an attachment to any kind of guys he played with, or maybe he's just okay with making lots of money. It might be tough to say, but I think I would be pretty okay with just making a lot of money. I think I would be cool with it. Would I go out of my way and make sure I have I play perfect every night? To be honest with you, I can't quite honestly say that I would make sure that I'm like the best I can be every night. I'm making so much money.
Yeah, he hasn't been the most durable. The most games he's played is his rookie season. He played in 79 games. Since then, the most he's played is 64, which is this previous year. He did average 24.7 last year, but he only played in 45 games, so not good enough sample size to see if he could sustain that for a whole 82 game season. But he'd definitely be valuable for another team. Like I said, it just not looks like it's not gonna be the Pelicans. So he needs to go somewhere else. Let Zion, if you're the Pelicans, let Zion be your your superstar. Build around him. Got to get him a co-star if that's the case. But you got good role players. You got Trey. You got what? Trey Murphy. You got Herb Jones. You got Grand Theft Alvarado. You got guys. You just need a second star because CJ's too old at this point to be that second star. His time was with Dame. So you gotta get Zion a bona fide second star. They didn't trade him last season, so they're pretty much giving him the keys. So if you're gonna give him the keys, give the man a second star. Go out and make it happen. I think that's all we got though for in terms of season reviews, off-season previews. I guess the other big news of the weekend, UFC 303. We kind of been hinting at it, past week, 2 weeks that this event might get thrown sideways, and it did, right, Lawrence? No McGregor versus Chandler. They replaced it with
I was like,
Pereira.
oh yeah, Alex Pereira versus Horscheksia. I can't say his name. They've already fought before. Pereira
Okay.
took his belt. I don't know if you know this, but Pereira actually laid in 22 pounds above the cut line, or not the cut line, but where he needs to be for this fight. So he's got a long road ahead of him to drop that weight. And he's already said that after this fight, he's gonna want to take some time off. Dude, he's been fighting crazy. He's been fighting a lot. I would totally agree with him in the saying that you need to take some time off because honestly, it can't be healthy for you to keep dropping and gaining and losing and gaining weight as much as he has. I mean, he's done it a lot because he's fought in 2 different weight classes and been successful in both. So he's training his body to go in 2 different weight classes to fight and still being productive in those said weight classes. I think a fight that everyone's going to be sleeping on, but I'm making sure no one sleeps on, is that Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez.
Okay.
Now listen, both of them are really good finishers. Brian Ortega is probably like one of the best finishers ever, but like Diego Lopez, like so far in his UFC career, he's one of those guys that like you just say like, oh man, he's different. Like he's built different. Like he's just different, and it's hard to like watch his fights and say he's not different. I think the biggest thing that you're going to see in this fight is how deep he can go in a fight. Because Ortega doesn't get beaten or doesn't get knocked out or he doesn't get finished that early. But both these guys are extremely good at finishing opponents. It would just be interesting to see if Diego Lopez can finish an opponent like an Ortega. So far, Lopez hasn't fought an opponent like Ortega, but he hasn't fought. I mean, his last fight wasn't against a bum, but he still knocked him out in the first like 2 minutes. The next one I will talk about is like the Michael Page, Ian Gary. I guess now we get to finally see if Michael Page is the real deal. I guess we also get to see if Ian Gary is the real deal. We haven't seen Ian Gary finish anyone yet. He doesn't finish anyone. He just beats the hell out of you and just beats the hell out of you and beats the hell out of you, but he doesn't finish anyone. Michael Page, I kind of thought he was a punk the way he fought Kevin Holland. He kept knocking Kevin Holland down, but wouldn't submit him, or he wouldn't give him the ground and pound to finish him off. He just kept toying with him and making him get back up to fight some more. Because this guy, I mean, he's really good in England and all that. Now he's finally in the big leagues. He's trying to make a name for himself. I think this is where we find out if Ian Gary is legit, or if Michael Page, if his not his debut, but what was it, like a second or third stint was legit. I mean, he kind of broke someone's jaw, so yeah, Michael Page might kill Ian Gary. Ian Gary might prove that he doesn't know how to finish a fight, but he'll do what Michael Page doesn't. He'll get on top and ground and pound him. So
nice. So it looks like the card is pretty much finalized. We got 2 weeks, like Lawrence said. Pereira has about 2 weeks to get to that cut line because he's 22 pounds over. So interesting main event. I think they did the best they could with the time constraints, the last minute kind of preparations.
I think that Pereira agreeing to fight in this fight saved him a little bit. The owner, Dana White, because honestly, if Dana White or if Alex Pereira is not in this main event, why would I buy this card? Is the main question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got all that, but if Alex Pereira is not in this main event,
I some of it.
If Alex Pereira is not in this main event, no one's buying this card. That is the end all be all guaranteed fact of life. If Alex Pereira didn't agree to do this main event, not one person would buy this card.
Yeah, that's true. And then, all the tickets that you sold to go to T-Mobile in Las Vegas, they would be pissed because they're not seeing anything, I guess not worth seeing, but definitely not what they were expecting or even close when they, kind of signed up to buy tickets. So shout out to Dana White. I don't really think anybody else could have pulled this off, but he did the best that he could and still did a pretty damn good job. So are we thinking McGregor, Chandler still happens this year, Lawrence? Or are you thinking maybe they'll push it off further, maybe early next year?
Yeah, I honesty, I don't know. I don't think McGregor fights again. I think he tried to get back in it, and I think it was just a little overhyped, and I don't think he has it. I think he's, I wouldn't say washed, but like the last time he was in the ring, he broke his leg. I don't think he's getting back in the ring unless he feels 100%. And at his age, I don't know if you do feel 100% anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. The payday would be very, very nice. So maybe that's an incentive to keep trying to do it. But, yeah, so that's a tough question to ask, tough question to answer. That's all I got, folks. NBA Finals is, I'm assuming, is going to start pretty soon. So we're going to head on out so we can watch this Game 5. Hopefully, if there's a Game 6, we'll cover that on Wednesday. But that being said, MTL Sports Podcast, episode 101. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify. We're going to head on out. See y'all. Peace.
Me wind and rain. You're some kind of